Welcome to the Victor's Nation podcast. I am your host, Jason Robinson. My other side of the family, Derek McCarty and Dre Fame. And guys, we got a very, very special guest today, Dale Mullings, father of Michigan. Welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it a lot.
You're welcome. No problem.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, no doubt. And Dre, thanks for helping get this
guy,
put out.
Man. My guy, Mr. Mullins, man. That's my guy, man.
Dre's family.
For sure, man. For sure. I get to see Kalel too on the 8th and the 9th. I think he has a signing coming up too. So
yeah,
that'd be cool.
He mentioned that. I think he mentioned that tonight. It's interesting. Every time I call him, he's just getting in his car. So tonight I called him. He's like, Dad, you have a tracker on me? Yeah, but he's good, though. He's good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my guy, man. Thank you, man. Thank you again for joining us.
Yes.
And Dale, things like that must be pretty surreal, right? To hear Dre say, "Hey, I'm gonna see your son this week. He's gonna be signing autographs."
Right. I mean, it's interesting. With Kalel, I mean, he was always the biggest and the fastest. So we kind of hoped, right, that he would get to this level or this position. But I mean, it took a lot of work, patience, a lot of money, and but it's good to see that the hard work's paid off, and he could have gone to almost any school, and his Michigan was his choice, not ours. And it was great that it worked. It's working out. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what was the recruiting process like for him?
Well, so it's interesting. Mom's a planner. Khaleesi is a planner. So, he was her goal was for him to attend Stanford, period. So when he was born, I mean, everything was lined out for him to go to Stanford.
Okay.
So, he was placed in a school system, Montessori school system, which one of their philosophy is you learn at your own pace. So they have first, second, and third graders in the same classroom. So when he went to public school, he tested on a third grade level, entering the first grade. And as I said, Mom was not having that. So she didn't want to lose him, as far as a son. Boys get bored, right? And you get bored, so she fought with the school department and they compromised and put him in the second grade. So he technically skipped the first grade, but not really, right? Because he had done the first grade in preschool, went in the Montessori school. And all of that was to get him into Milton Academy, one of the top prep schools in probably in the country. I think Bob Kennedy, a few of the Kennedys graduated from there. So that was the plan. As I said, she's a planner. He got into Milton for middle school, which is they took 15 kids out of 400 applied, and he was one of 15. And then he, obviously went on to the high school. Middle school, he played. In the 8th grade, he played. What did he play? He played 8th grade ball, high school ball, and he also played Pop Warner. So we had 3 games a week. Wednesdays, 8th grade. Friday is high school, and Sunday is Pop Warner, which I don't think that's legal. but the reason behind that was, you guys remember the bullying incident with the lineman in Miami getting bullied?
Yep.
Yeah, in the NFL, right?
Right. So when that came up, we kind of looked at each other and said, that could easily be Kalel. He's in this prep school league, and we're from the inner city, and he's never really experienced that. So we're like, wait a minute, you take him out of Milton and you put him in another locker room, is he going to be prepared for that? So we went out and took him into the hood or the city where I'm from, and we put him in Pop Warner. And for the first time, he experienced kids swearing and stuff like that, which I think helped to put him where he is, So now he can relate to any situation. So I thought that was cool. freshman year, he came out. He was offered freshman year. After freshman season, I reached out to the coach. We haven't heard anything. And the coach said, give me a 10 schools that you want. And obviously Michigan, Notre Dame, Stanford, so on. And probably a month later, Don Brown showed up and offered him. What was interesting with Don Brown was he said, I'm only asking two things of you. I'm not going to bother you. Do what you want to do. See the world. But I want you to always remember I was your first offer, and I want your last official visit, which we thought was fair. After he was offered by Michigan, then everybody, BC came in 2 days later and offered him, which was interesting because when he was in the 6th grade, BC knew about him, but they wouldn't pull the trigger until Michigan pulled the trigger. So that kind of left a little bad taste in his mouth in a sense, but he gave them every opportunity to convince him to go to BC. The coaching staff at BC were pretty real. We're still close to the running back coach right now is at Bowling Green. He's good people. I mean, he gave him some solid advice, really good advice. I mean, it's like, listen, you can't give this up for this. So it was pretty cool. So that's how it started, and it just trickled down. We would visit 3 schools per trip because you figure 3 of us, it's about $300 per ticket. So you're looking at $1,000 for airfare, hotel. So you're looking at about $1,500 per visit, right? So this is junior year, or even before. So we try to do 3 schools. We did Clemson, North Carolina, Duke. We did Northwestern, Ohio State, Notre Dame. So we tried to do that. We did Stanford, USC, UCLA, just to get the most out of your
visits, your
right?
trips. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
So that's how it kind of started. We visited West Coast. Stanford loved them. Coach Gould, who is now Blake's running back coach, right? He's with LA Rams. Coach Gould, good dude, good people. Loved him. Loved everything about him. He was like, you're going to be my running back. I see something special in you. He's the first one that spoke about his footwork. And we visited them for 2 days. Then we went down to UCLA, and this was freshman year. He got offered. Freshman spring. He got offered by UCLA right away. But Stanford can't offer you as a freshman. Well, they're not supposed to, right? They need to see your grades. But we kept the relationship. They visited him twice a year. We'd go out and visit, and so on and so forth. So he was committed to Stanford, believe it or not. Silent commit.
Wow.
Yeah, he was. So it just came down to his final 7 schools were Notre Dame running back, Wisconsin running back, Ohio State linebacker, Michigan linebacker, or Michigan gave him an option, whichever he wanted. Northwestern linebacker, Stanford, and BC. I think those were his final. And we kind of, as parents, we wanted him. Academics was important to us, high academics. We deliberately kept him away from the SEC. Because we felt like the SEC is just going to chew you up and spit you out. Either you make it or you don't. And that's how it fly. We figured, his Pop Warner coach always said, use football. Don't let football use you.
Right.
And that was like our family motto. You're going to get everything out of football. You're going to give, but you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
So finally we visited Stanford senior year, the spring before senior year, the summer before senior year. And I was we were at Starbucks. It was just me and him. Mom was visiting with Coach Shaw. And he said, Dad, I'm only going to Stanford for you guys. And I told him, listen, you can't go to Stanford for us. You gotta go. You gotta be passionate about your academics, and you gotta want it. So, I basically said, I got you. I'll support you. If it makes sense, if your decision makes sense, I'll support you. But you got to convince Mom. I said, she's a planner now. Remember I said Stanford was
Sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, she had already had her Stanford mom stuff.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
So we
solid commit.
we love Stanford, and we went down to USC just to give USC another look. He loves USC. I mean, that is his school. Like, he has so much USC gear.
Wow.
So we went down there, and he didn't like the off campus situation, South Central, so on and so forth. But he bought a ton of gear. Oh, like, why are you buying all this if you're not going to go here? So we flew from LA to Michigan, and he was like, yeah, I'm home. This is it right here. It has everything I want. He wanted business. Stanford doesn't have undergrad business. They have business with like engineering or something. But Michigan, top business school. This is it. And he and that was it. Mom supported him because it made sense to her. And I think it was the right decision. And even when the 2020 class were all getting drafted, I said to him, do you think you made a mistake? He's like, Dad, look at the ride we're on. I mean, these kids that are going to draft would kill to be in my position. So he always kept it in perspective. Like, and he's a smart kid.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's about it. I mean, there was some tough times at Michigan. I mean, obviously broken hand, broke the other hand, foot, injuries, and and I'm the one that convinced him to play linebacker versus running back. So in this whole narrative about linebacker turning running back, he was always a running back. The reason why
he started off as a running back in high school?
Yeah, he was a running back. I'll give you an example. So Notre Dame offered him as a linebacker. Coach Lee. Wisconsin, Coach Turnover at Wisconsin, good people over there, offered him as a running back. And once they did that, everybody else went back and looked at his running back film and came back in as running back. So Notre Dame came back as running back and so on and so forth. But Coach Jay Harbaugh, always loved him as a running back. When we visit, we would sit with him. He would, give us his comparison, kind of like he said Mixon. It reminds him of Mixon a little bit, and so on and so forth. So yeah, he's not running back is his natural position. Linebacker is something that made sense because 4.4, 4.5 speed. That's a fast, especially in Don Brown's defense. If you remember now, it was Don Brown's defense he was coming into, which was see ball, get ball. When they switched to the Ravens defense, which is more complicated, that's when you start thinking, you slow down, and so on. Coach Harbaugh reached out to us and said this is funny. Freshman year when Kalel visited with Coach, first visit, Coach sat him down for about an hour, Coach Harbaugh, and basically just laid out why Michigan makes sense. Promised him he would be his third down back. Not promised, but said you have an opportunity to be a third down back. You'd be a linebacker, but you'd also be able to come in because of your unique skill set. And Kalel looked at him after about 45 minutes to an hour and said, Coach, I love everything about Michigan, but I have to see what else is out there. I can't commit today. And I'm ready to commit, Coach Harbaugh. Kalel was like, whoa. But I mean, he always came back to Michigan. Michigan, I think he just fell in love with it, everything about it. And it was, you have that academics plus the big time football. Yeah. There are only a couple of schools out there. You only had 3 schools, maybe? What is it? Notre Dame, Michigan, and Stanford. And now it's basically Notre Dame and Michigan that you're going to have the top 10 football, top 20 football, and top 20 academics.
Education, yeah, for sure.
So that's how it kind of started, and that's how we end up here. So,
well, I'm glad you came. Well, he came. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, absolutely. And so, listening to that story, I think my internet, I probably disappeared off the screen for a second. My internet kicked out on
you for a little bit.
But that story is not much different than when we listened to Tiffany's Inter talk about Zach committing to Michigan, or we talked with Melanie Colson about Junior committing to Michigan, or Rachel Loveland talking about Colston committing to Michigan.
They all said the same thing.
Yeah, that they just kept going back. They just kept going back to
about
home at Michigan.
So I'll tell you something. This is funny. Before I let you, so Clemson, they were. So Kalel travels a lot. He's been to 17, 18 countries. Been everywhere. You name it, he's been there, right? They were in Costa Rica when I got a call from Clemson. And so I called them and I said, listen, Clemson wants to see you. Cut the vacation short. So they jumped on a flight, came back home. And we got on the flight the first thing in the morning and we got down there. Hung out with Coach Venables. Great dude. Really, really cool. But then we made, I obviously offered him or whatever. Then we made a game day visit. Kalel gets to run down the hill and do all that stuff with him. We're in the stands. He comes back in the stands. He goes, Mom, I'm committed. Mom goes, no, you're not. Basically, whatever you're gonna do, you're not gonna do it on impulse. You're gonna think about it. But I mean, I'm telling you, they have something going on down there, boy. It was, as I said, I was like, wow, I can get comfortable here. So
yeah, that's one of my football stadium bucket lists, to go to Clemson and see that atmosphere for sure.
Man, they got you park a few miles away from the stadium as a recruit. You get on the recruit bus. They have a recruit bus lane, so everyone's waving at you. You get off. There are people signing there for autographs. I mean, they know what they're doing over here.
Yeah.
Well,
so now tell us a little bit. It must have been quite the bizarre first year experience after committing to Michigan and going to Ann Arbor in 2020, going and having your first year. Even the whole process of academically taking classes at Michigan. What was that like for Kalel as a freshman during 2020, during the pandemic, and trying to navigate that whole scenario?
So I remember I said that Milton Academy is one of the top schools, and it's one of the top schools in the country. So it was easy for him. He's in a business school. I remember he called me freshman year. He goes, Dad, one of the football players here, one of the walk-ons on academic scholarship, and I'm tutoring him in math. Like, he was like, but he didn't like Milton Academy's process. They were just, he would say they're just hard, difficult for no reason. They don't care about sports. They don't care. They're all about getting you into the Ivy, getting you into the Stanfords and so on and so forth. So he looks over and, these kids in Twitter, they're all friends. Your friends should be in California. And he's listening to what they're taking in their grades. And he's like, in the Northeast and in the Ivy League and Stanford community, a B at Milton is an A in any other school. But in a big university like Michigan, it's a B. They don't really know their academic. So anyway, freshman year wasn't too hard, and obviously the business school, it was great that he went to Milton. He was prepared. COVID, which was interesting because he graduated June 6th and he was on campus June 8th. With COVID, it was a shock. It was like, oh, we're the only ones in the stands. But I thought it was good for them because all the athletes were in one dorm. They were the only one on campus. They lived in the yard. So now this is high life, luxury living. They're thinking that's what Michigan is, right? But it was great because they all got to know each other, right? Football players and the volleyball and they all kind of bonds. I think that was great. What was terrible for them was when Coach Harbaugh said, you're going back to the dorms. They were kicking and screaming. But as parents, we liked that. And obviously his view was, you don't know who your roommate or the guy next door to you is going to be, right? And I'll use an example. Hillary Clinton's roommate at Wellesley College is Grant Hill, the basketball player's mother. So you go to these schools, these high academic schools, a part of it is also networking.
Yes.
You don't know who's going to be who. So we appreciated the fact that they were going back to get a taste of the dorm. You're part of the college life. You're not just, football facility in your house. I saw him on his one of his Snapchat. He was out there in a robe and during a snowstorm in his robe, sandals, and sliding down the hill. I'm like, that's college life. So although they hated going back to the dorm, I'm sure if you talk to them now, they probably loved it because they got to experience the sample of what college is about. So freshman year wasn't too bad because we were able to get to know the players a little more because there were nobody else on campus. And obviously going to the games was kind of tough, but it was all right. But 2020 though, that year losing, and most of these kids are coming from schools that are winning championships. So
I was about to say didn't lose a lot, for sure.
Yeah. But what was interesting though, I remember they canceled Ohio State game, and I still talk to Don Brown. He was gonna start in the Ohio State game because obviously there was half the kids had COVID, so an opportunity to start as a freshman against Ohio State would have been obviously a badge of honor, but they canceled the game, so it is what it is,
Sure.
I'd like him to throw another ball against Ohio State like he did in 2021.
Oh yeah.
I want to know. Did you know he was going to be throwing the ball that game?
No, we don't really talk about what goes on at practice. We kind of, we know what he's going to do as far as what position he's going to play, but he doesn't really like today. I spoke to him today. I said, how was it today? And he was like, oh, I don't know how Blake did it. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like 24 carries. That's the most carries I've had in my life. But that's as far as we go as far as in in practice. Get back to Coach Harbaugh. Coach Harbaugh reached out to us. I think this was and junior camp. Yeah, so the camp before junior year. The camp before when Nakai got hurt. So when he threw the pass that year, the camp for that year, he said, something to the effect that obviously we need a big back, but for me to go out and recruit a big back, it's going to take years. And we have Kalel here. Do you mind if he play both ways? And we were like, sure. So in camp, he was going one day at offense, one day at defense. And Jesse Madden was his roommate to get him up to speed on the playbook for defense. A lot of people understand that he knew, I don't know if he still does, but he knew the offense and defensive playbook, which is ridiculous because they're both pro playbook, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so when Nakai went down, he had to go full-time over the line by defense. And then when Blake went down, that's when he had to go back over. But that's it.
Do you think knowing offense and defensive playbook helped him become a better running back?
No, I don't. I think it. I do think being a linebacker and learning linebacker in college helped to be a better running back. Okay. Because you're a linebacker in high school, the basic, but when you go through 3 years of being in that room with these guys, whether it's Ross, Colson, whoever, you pick up stuff. And I would like to think Michigan players are kind of smarter or as smart as any other, so I think that helps. I think that his whole, if you hear that, they're always talking about strain, or punch him in the gut. I do believe in that if you keep beating these inside linebacker up, at a point, they're just gonna, that one time they might take a play off. That might be the one that you break. So knowing that they think like that it's second down, I can take it easy. I think knowing that mindset help as a running back, I think.
Yeah. And so I think I've always thought that that Kalel has just a natural instinct that is very, very difficult to coach when he's running the football. His feel for where the hole is going to be.
And vision, man. The vision is crazy.
Yeah, solid
crazy.
And then when you throw in the ability to drag a defender 15 yards downfield and break a tackle and bust a 65-yard run.
63 yards.
What's interesting about the vision, it's always been since Pop Warner, he was told he was, he had vision. I know parents will talk about middle school or Pop Warner, but we traveled all over. As I said, mom's a planner. So two things: we were never going to leave his future in high school coaches' hands, right? So we were going to go out there and do the legwork. So whether you help him get an offer or not, he's going to get whatever
get offers.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
So we traveled. Massachusetts is not a big time football state, right? So we had to get out there. And what we noticed was after these camps and we'd always get we didn't know he was. Like, but that's too late now. The camp's over. You already gave MVP to somebody else. So we kind of came up with our own little formula, right? My job, as you can tell, I have the gift to gab, right? My job is to go find out who the man is.
Yeah.
His job is to go either against the man or go after the man at camps.
Exactly.
So I remember freshman year, UCLA camp, I was wearing an M hat, which is his high school, and his coach looked at me and said, "Oh, what's the M for?" I said, "Oh, it's my son's high school." He's like, "Oh yeah, it looks like the M in my school." I'm like, "Oh, you're a coach?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm a running back coach." I'm like, "Oh, you got to see number 15." And he's only 14. Yeah, he's only 14. So all right, I'll take a look at him. 15 minutes later, he came back, said, "I know you'll never come here, but I want to be your first West Coast offer." And that was San Jose State. The running back coach is now at the running back coach is now at Arizona, because that whole staff went up to Arizona.
The Cardinals?
No, Arizona, University of
Arizona.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because remember, Arizona staff went to Washington, and the San Jose staff went up to Arizona.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
And probably about an hour or so later, Coach Mora and head coach of UCLA, running back coach, who's the head coach of UCLA now?
Brian Kelly?
No. He just took over for Brian Kelly. Running back, he was in the league for a while. He's the head coach now. Can't remember his name. Anyway,
Foster.
He came over. They both came over and offered him at UCLA. But he was cooking them, because they had him going up against the rising seniors, and he was a freshman, and he was a running back, and he was just. But we kind of knew there was a linebacker. I forgot where he ended up, but he was. You can tell by the coaches who the coaches are going crazy about. So I'd say, all right, that's the kid. No matter what you do, you make sure you go up against him. So you're running back, he's a linebacker. Count when he's coming up. That's where you need to be, and you have nothing to lose if he beats you. But if you beat him, and I think that's what happened in that case. But then we just traveled around. We went everywhere, and he just beat up on everyone just to get some attention. But yeah, that was more or less it.
So
go ahead, Derek. Go ahead.
So when Kalel landed at Michigan, right, 2020, you alluded to the fact that didn't meet the standard of Michigan football. That probably didn't meet the standard of what the coaching staffs presented Michigan football being. And granted, there's a lot of external factors that impacted meeting time together, practice time together, summer workouts together, etc. But Kalel got to be part of, to me, one of the if not the best culture shifts that I've ever seen in a program, and the fact that culture shift was led by 18 to 22-year-old kids turning into men is pretty incredible. Has he talked much about what it's been like to go to have the season that Michigan had in 2020? And then be part of that culture shift to then develop into the program that Michigan turned into that led to becoming national champions last year?
He never really spoke on that. I remember freshman year, I reached out and I said, "What is it like?" And he said, I remember him saying, "Dad, all these guys think they're going to the league." And I thought, I didn't understand what he meant by that. But for me as a parent, I'm like, okay, so more or less everyone's kind of playing for themselves versus the team. That's what I took from it. I don't know if that's what he meant, but he was just surprised that everybody is basically trying to get to the league versus trying to, to win a
team
championship. What was interesting though was by the end of the season, Coach Harbaugh, Jay Harbaugh, and Coach Moore were the only coaches left that recruited him. Because remember, they started recruiting him since freshman year. So after your first semester, first season, everyone was gone. You remember Don Brown was gone. Everyone was gone. And that was kind of like, okay, it's business. So what am I going to do about it? Okay, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to play my butt off, but I'm also going to work my butt off in the classroom. Here today, gone tomorrow. And then with the club and the broken foot and everything else, it's like, Jesus. So the league doesn't look so close anymore. It's
right.
So I think that was a rude awakening. But as far as the culture though, I think I can't speak on, obviously they build, right? So you have like Ross and Hutch and all those guys, they build on what the guys before them. And I think, the national championship is not just 144, but it's 142, 143. It's everyone, because they taught these kids. What I have to say though is when you brought in kids like Blake, this kid works. I would not want to be on a team where I'm starting and he's behind me. It's just just go ahead, because he's gonna chase you until he gets you. Like, I've known Blake forever. I've known him for a while because, as I said, they were both running backs. Yep. And I ran into Blake, the Nike Rivals camp in DC. And the room is he's gonna commit to Michigan, whatever. And I remember I ran into him and I looked at him and I said, "Go blue," and he kind of gave me a little wink. I'm like, "Okay, good." Then we found out that one of Kalel's coaches had passed, so we had to just pack up everything and drive back to Boston. But I think players like Blake, Mikey, it just that those kids, those young men helped to create that culture. And I mean, I can go on. There are obviously others, but those are the two that I know pretty well.
Yeah.
Jason, do you have any follow-up?
No, I guess one last thing that I had, you guys might have some other questions, but what was that ride like last year? So last season with Team 144 and winning the national championship for Michigan. So 97, we split one. It meant so much to Michigan fans. I know those players have an idea, but actually just as a fan base, like in general, like what did it mean to your son? What did it mean bringing a national championship back to Michigan? Like, what was that experience like for your son?
I mean, it was bittersweet, to be honest. Yeah. Like, I mean, you're happy for the team, you're happy for everyone, but he's sitting there knowing that he can help, but he's not getting the opportunity to. Yeah. So I remember Penn State, we beat Penn State, and he gave me that look. It's like 34 straight runs, and I didn't touch the ball once. And he's like, I can help. And I try to explain to him at that time, you're not competing with Dono. Understand that. You're not the same back. You're competing with Blake.
Mm-hmm.
Dono is with Cabana, right? That kind of you might be nipping at Dono's heels, but you're not the same. You're not the same. So they're not going to take touches from Blake to give it to you. That makes no sense. You have a Heisman caliber running back. Why would I? We're trying to win a national championship here. So, but that's what I meant, where it was bittersweet, because obviously you're happy and he's happy and the team's happy and everything's great, but at the same time he's like, come on, I want
to play. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But now, I think being in the situation now, reflecting, it's like, okay, I understand. That made sense. I'm speaking for him now, right? Makes sense.
For sure.
And I try to talk to the younger guys. I had a conversation with Marshall, and I spoke to Ben Hall's dad. just kind of let, first of all, I tell them, listen, tell the parents, check on them. Mental health, that it's real. It's
super real.
Check on them. Just check on them. Just make sure they're good. You good? You all right? Let's talk about it. And then, I also tell them, I told Marshall, Blake had Haskins. Dono had Blake. Kalel had Dono. Next year is y'all. That's it. That's you two. Neither one of you have ever started a game. So just be ready to go on day one because it's the Big Ten. There's no waiting. It's go time. So don't worry about touches now. Just make sure when you get it, you go with it, you run with it, and
put the preparation and work in right now.
And I think they understand, and I think they're good. And obviously that running back room is crazy. It's just the men that are in that room, they're brothers. Kalel's success is, as I told you, Dre, is Dono's success. I mean, Dono, and that's my issue with the fan base. It's like, come on. He's done so much for us.
Now, hold on, Mr. I want y'all fans to listen to this. Listen to this, fans. Please listen to this.
Yep. Lay off the RB1, RB2. It doesn't matter. But we need Dono, and we need Dono right. And just it's crazy because we've been through it with the you notice I'm gonna say fumble. With the fumble in the TCU game. I mean, his Twitter was on mom's phone and it was getting death threats during the game after because of the gambling. A guy lose money, it's just crazy. But back to Dono, listen, man, him and Kalel, they play chess, man. He kept Kalel right last year. He's a leader, and Kalel's success right now is Dono's success. There's no Kalel without Dono. And the fan base got to just enjoy both of them. And we need Dono. Dono, he might not have 100 yards rushing on the field, but trust me, he is the reason why you got 100 yards rushing, whoever has it. So we just got to the fan, and I'm a diehard, I'm a big fan. So we just got to just let these kids remember they're kids and just let them be kids. And trust me, they're doing their best. They're doing everything in their power to win, And even I was talking to you this weekend, Dre, right? We won by 3. Now, would the fan base rather we win by 40 and lose to Ohio State and Oregon? Or do we win by 3 because we're working on our passing game and we beat Minnesota by 3? And because of that, we're able to beat Oregon and Ohio State. This coaching staff, they have a plan and we got to trust them. And even if we lose, we got a natty. We got a national championship. Right, and hopefully we get another one, but we can't, kill these kids, or beat them up for another. We got one. Ohio State won theirs in 2015, and I mean they got all 5 stars. We have one. We're one of 6 or 7 teams that won a national championship within that era, right? Come on.
Yep.
And trust me, Dono was the reason. Well, was a major part of it. So they got to lay off. Man. He is a major part of this team. And the numbers, if the numbers aren't there, he is doing everything he can for us to win. So this fan base just got to just chill out a little bit and
chill. When
it's his time, it's his time. Where we needed those runs in Ohio State. We needed the Washington. I mean, that's just him. Big game Dono. Let's just leave it at that, and appreciate him. So that's my on Dono. So forget about RB1, RB2. As long as we win, who cares?
Right. Very, very, very well said. Because we've talked a lot about that on these podcasts. We've talked a lot about supporting the players just in general. All right. Because a lot of people, fans get so passionate that they lose sight of the fact that we're talking 18 to 21-year-old kids primarily, and maybe a couple 22 or older that are maybe part of rosters. But it's like what you're talking about, the mental aspect of it. all of these kids that go in not just Michigan, any big program, they dominated every level of every sport that they played in their entire life. They have been the alpha, and now they're at the very bottom of the totem pole. And when you play a game like football, you only get one shot at every play. You get a ton of reps in practice, but there's very, very few other things in life that we deal with where we get one shot, and if that play doesn't go right, that we don't get it back, right? So one time, if your ball security isn't where it needs to be on one play, that's we're talking 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. Right. Things like that are going to happen. They're gonna miss a call. They're gonna miss a read. Those types of things happen. But in football games, you don't get them back, right? And the most important thing, I think, it is, as a fan base, year over year, regardless of where the team is at, I think the important thing is for a fan base to support the players,
right?
Right.
Exactly.
And when you know, even the coaching staff, you know, definitely support the coaching staff, because a lot of people don't realize that gets to players too. Players get pretty close to their position coaches. They get close to the guys that recruited them. So they hear the noise, and the noise doesn't always reflect. The noise doesn't reflect what's going on in those meeting rooms. The noise doesn't. Very few people that are critical of players or coaches have much beyond more of an elementary standing of football, right? Very few people have a really deep understanding of what's actually going on in the game of football, you know, at a high level of who actually missed that assignment, who actually missed that read, right? So a lot of times it's even the wrong player that's being criticized, and that's something that we talk about a lot. Is
you're right.
Support the players. It's not going to be a perfect season every season. It's not going to be a national championship every season.
And that's why I stay like around like after games. It ain't for pictures. It's y'all good win. Hey, you know what I'm saying? We all straight. Like to talk to the parents, like me and Mr. Mullings, we sat there and talked for like 15 minutes.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Just in the rain. Like we just sat here and had a conversation about everything in the rain, man. It was great. But I mean, we got to support them better. We got to be better as fans, man. We're every knick-knack thing. Like, come on, man. These is kids at the end of the day, man. Well, young adults at the end of the day.
Also, the players on the other team are on scholarship also.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, when you think about, I mean, USC, the coaches know. I'll give you an example so you guys understand that these coaches are doing everything they can. Do you remember? You remember the run that Kalel dragged, the USC run, 53 yards. Yep. At the end of the run, he put the ball in front of him, right? And then he brought it back in. You can go watch it, right? Just before it went out of bounds.
Yep.
That's something that the coaches spoke about, right? Because this team, that's what they do. They punch the ball out. So they're covering all the details, right? Before you get tackled, or in that situation, move the ball so they don't get to punch it. That's just an example of the you know, what the coaches
attention to detail.
Right. And obviously it trickles down to the kids on the field, but you're not going to win all the games. You're not going to win all the battles. You're not going to win all the runs. So these kids are out there, and trust me, they have this whole notion of free education or, you know, you get to play. This is a job. This is a job. Kalel's this is his 5th year at Michigan. He's been home less than 10 times in 5 years. Coach Harbaugh, his first Christmas home, Coach Harbaugh let him come home. He was home for a few hours. Like, these are sacrifices these kids are making. And half the time they're not even playing. So it's not like the stars. It's everyone.
Every one of them. Yeah.
And, you know, we just got to support them and just understand that. Listen, we just won a natty. Let's enjoy it. You know, I'm in New England. Patriots, six Super Bowl. They're terrible now, but I remember when they were bad. So I'm enjoying my 6 Super Bowls. They can lose for the next 20 years. I'm good. I'm not saying the Michigan fan base should be like that. What I'm saying is that cut them some slack. You know, give them a little bit of wiggle room. And they're going to figure it out. The Texas game, I think if we had played Texas the second game of last year, we would have lost. Because it takes a while for them to gel, and and I think that's what's going on now.
And I said if we played Texas like right now, I think the results would be different as well too.
Yeah, and they're building on it, and you want to be playing your best ball the end of the year, towards the end of the year. So yeah, we lost to Texas, but guess what? They're the number one team, or they were the number one team. That's a good loss. That's actually almost like a win.
That's probably why we're still ranked 10 as well too. And it's like, I think we bring it up I swear, every other podcast episode, we bring up there's a lot of different pieces, right? Coaching staff, players, strategies, all these different things. And last year we had a lot of talent. They went to the pros, so pro blue, but you got to remember we had 3 or 4 straight games last year where fans were getting mad because we weren't putting up 70 points against ECU. Exactly. So I was in Eric and I were at that game too. But this year we didn't get so lucky. We got a tough schedule.
And we gonna grind it out, baby.
This team is only just gonna get better. This team is only just gonna get better.
And I think as a fan, I get upset with the play calling also, but then I have to sit back and say, wait a minute, hold on. They know what they're doing. You might call A, not because it's A, but you're trying to set up C 10 plays down the line. So, but as fans, we're instant gratification kind of, but you got to kind of reel it in and understand. You just got to trust them.
It's chess. It's chess.
Yeah, and that goes, the same thing I was talking about as a player, it goes for coaches too. You only got one shot at making a call, and it's really easy in hindsight if something doesn't work to say, I shouldn't have made that call, right? And it's really easy as a fan base to question a call that doesn't work. But if it did work.
Kalel's pass in Ohio State, if that was picked off, that would have been the worst call in the history, but completed the pass.
I was in there. I was going crazy in there, Mr. But oh my God, I'll never forget that. Oh, we was in Ohio State going crazy. He threw that pass. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, what's funny with that game? So we got there and we got the seats. We're like, these are really good seats.
Ohio State has them.
Yeah, we were until the sun came up. You're like, those mother, that sun, everyone was like this. It was still better than Penn State, though. Man.
Oh, yeah, Penn State, they had y'all in the air. I did not like that. I'm like, what is going on?
But remember, I told you earlier, I have the gift for gab. I got up there. I was like, this ain't working. I made my way down all the way down, almost 2 or 3 rows from the field, and I got in a conversation with a family. They're my adopted Penn State family.
See, there you go.
I was sitting with them right there. It was great. But
there you go. That's how you're supposed to do it. You meet people and build great relationships, and then you never know how that pans out. You know what I mean? So,
but yeah, it's a great fan base. I think Wisconsin, the only even USC were great. I think just Ohio State's just they're just different. And Michigan State, they're just different. We were on the parents' bus going to the game. I mean, we had the police escort and everything, and we're pulling up. They're giving us the finger. It says parents' bus on the hip.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The hate is real. The hate is super real. But I love it, though.
Yeah, it does. I was in Ohio. We were down there. We stopped at a gas station, went to get some gas. I paid the guy. He looked around, and he whispered, "Go Blue." Like, he's actually scared.
But I would say it proud.
Oh man, no, in Ohio State, man, it's different, man. The hate is for real, man. Like
I'd be mad
we was getting out the car and everybody was F you, and I'm like, dang, we just got out the car. We ain't even did nothing yet. Like, dang. But I loved it though. It was fun.
USC fans are great. I think Texas fans, I thought, were also good.
Yep.
There's nothing like Nebraska. Yep. Great.
I haven't been there yet. Sadly, I want to go. Last year I was supposed to go. That was the only game I did not go to was Nebraska last year.
And speaking of fan base, right? They haven't won anything in 100 years. They're sold out. Their fans are still right behind them. So hopefully our fan base can,
Lincoln, Nebraska goes hard.
Yeah, Nebraska do go hard.
They
go super hard. Super hard. Anything else y'all guys have before we leave? For the outro?
He's like
nothing for me. Nothing for me. I mean, thanks for joining. I guess if you want to, we always end these podcasts. We haven't really looked ahead
with a prediction. Yeah, for sure.
We haven't looked ahead at Washington, but we do have we got a national championship rematch coming up. Now, interestingly, we've got a national championship rematch where both coaching staffs are completely different because of the Harbaugh departure and the Kalel DeBoer departure to Alabama. But nonetheless, we've got a rematch of the national championship. So you want to give us a score prediction for what you think?
I don't. Okay, so I can do. Okay, as a fan. Okay, as a parent, we're gonna win, right? We're gonna win.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Mr. Mullins, we don't care about how we are homers here. We don't never lose. We don't never lose.
It's gonna be a tough game because it's their stadium. They don't lose at home. I still believe in the coaching staff, and I still believe in our talent. I do feel that the passing game will make a few more strides forward. I do think that, I don't know if it's going to be, it's probably going to be, we'll probably win by 2 touchdowns. I don't know exactly what the score is going to be, maybe, 21-7 or, but I think we'll win, but it's going to be grind it out. Yeah. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be a national championship. I think Orgy will make he'll get better. And I think with Orgy, which is interesting, the team loves him. I could tell. You could tell he like our glue. It seemed like he our glue. Yeah, he's the nicest kid too. He is the nicest, absolutely the best family, smart kid. And I think that's what's going to help to bring us, propel us to the playoffs. But as far as the game, I think that we're gonna we'll win by 2 touchdowns. I don't know what exactly the score, and it might be towards the end or maybe in the beginning. But I think our defense will come through, and I think our offense will do enough. They'll make another step forward. And at the end of the day, the goal is to beat Michigan State, Oregon, and Ohio State. And you don't have to win pretty as long as you win and you take another step, or another rung in that ladder. So, by the way, Coach Alfred, the running back coach, great hire. He is for real. He is.
I agree.
Yeah, he's good people. Good. I actually noticed the difference in Kalel's running since, and I'm someone that's going to rewind the tape and watch. Yeah, I think Coach Hart was great. So I'm not taking anything away from Coach Hart. I'm saying that I can see the difference in Kalel's running this year versus last year since Coach Alfred. So
a solid room to work with too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Very solid.
Yeah. Awesome,
Jason. What you got?
What about? Oh, go ahead, Jason.
So Michigan fan, 156-0 over Washington. Football fan, God, I hope that's the score. That'd be awesome. I would be rewatching that game like I did the Rose Bowl game, like 127 times. But
man,
as a football fan, 31 Michigan, Washington 14.
31-14. Trey, what about you?
I got a 21-14 Michigan.
21-14?
Yep.
21-14. And you know what? I'm gonna go for a not pretty win, but it's a win. And I'm gonna say that we go for a third week in a row, 27-24. And you know what? I want to tie to something, Dale, that you were talking about earlier. with the RB1, RB2 type stuff. I think we've got RB1A, RB1B, and the 1A and 1B can rotate with Kalel and Dono. But I was so excited last week with some of the stuff that we put on tape offensively. The execution, maybe the results of all the plays, the conditions maybe didn't help with being able to open up the passing game in the way that we wanted to. But to see Kalel and Dono on the field at the same time, and the mismatches that can present, being able to capitalize on Dono's strengths and line them up out wide and put them in motion.
Me and Mr. Mullins talked about that. Right. We talked about that Saturday. I swear, we had a conversation just about that.
Now, did that cost us a couple more points on the board? Maybe, but guess what? Now we have something to look at, right? Let's say Orji missed Dono on that check down, right? Yep. Guess what? It's not gonna happen again. So we just fixed something because we you're building something, and sometimes you have to make sacrifice. And what's the point of winning a game by 20? And
if you're not learning,
you haven't grown. The team hasn't grown as a team. So. But I have a story. Kalel's high school coach called me up after the USC game, and he said, "I need you to tell Kalel this story." And he goes, his best friend's dad played at Michigan in the 70s, 77 to 80. He was a guard. He played for the league, John Powers. And he played in the league. And he said he watched the game and obviously USC game. And right after the game, he went, because he was dying. He went to hospital. So he ended up dying on Wednesday, right? But the last game he watched was Michigan beating USC in that game, that comeback. And he was saying, just to remind them that they think it's only a game to them, but it's a lot more to a lot of other people out there. So just keep doing what you guys are doing, the team as a team, and understand that you are impacting a lot of people's lives. And for this guy who played at Michigan, diehard Michigan fan, his last game was that USC game. I mean, that's crazy. So, and obviously his family was happy and so on and so forth. So these kids, they're doing God's work in one way or another, right? In the sense that if you're a diehard fan and you watch that Georgia game or you watch whatever it is, for that 2 minutes, that's important to you, and that joy, even when you're in deathbed, so it's cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that too.
Sports and music, I think that brings a lot of people together. Sports and music is a powerful thing. Yeah. All cultures of life come together for sports and music.
Yep. And at the end of the day, though, it's who got it better than us, right?
Right.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny because I find myself watching the Chargers, like, come on, you can't lose. Like, I want them to succeed so bad.
Right. Hey, they've been doing good, though. They've been doing real good.
Yeah, but it's not just them, right? It's Baltimore. It's also Seattle.
Yeah.
When the Seattle's playing the Patriots, I'm torn.
Jesse.
Yeah, that's how I was last night at the game. I'm like, man, I love my boys on Seattle. Yeah. I love Mike McDonald, but I'm a Lions fan. I like,
Listen, if you have some money, man, invest in real estate in Detroit, because I'm telling you, it's on the move. The Lions are on the come up. Detroit's on the. I think it definitely just a team. It's funny. I didn't like that coach. That hire, saw his interview. I'm like, are you serious? You're hiring this guy? And I got to tell you, I was wrong. Man, I was wrong. I'm a Detroit fan, not because of Hutch, but also just everything. The coach he just looked like just a regular dude coaching, like a high school coach.
He building something special. He building something special up there. So I'm really a fan. Really a fan for sure.
We just need the Pistons to get it going.
Oh my God! Right.
But you can't have it all, right? Not yet.
Yeah, right. You're right. Yeah. You're absolutely correct. Oh
man. So, but it was great. talking to you guys, and you know me, I can talk football all day. You guys can reach out. I'll talk or whatever. And
whenever you want to come join and talk some football, Mr. Mullings, we're happy to have you, man. Like you said at the beginning, we're family, man. So whenever you want to reach out, or you got anything going on, an event, and you want to put it out to the masses, just let me know. I'll put it out there for you.
Right. Now,
you know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you.
The family's great. I don't know if you know this, but we got championship rings. We got big.
As
rings.
parents, y'all did, didn't y'all? Awesome, y'all did. I seen Mr. Morgan's. If I'm mistaken, I think that was his championship parent ring.
And
I seen
so
one.
This will sum up Coach Harbaugh. So we talk. I'd reach out to him. We talk every so often. We laugh. So I told him, Coach, every year I tell him we're going undefeated, right? And when we beat Ohio State, Mr. Zinter, Paul Zinter, Zach's dad, and we're gonna take our shirt off and go swing on the field goal, right? Anyway, that was obviously we beat Ohio State. That was the first year. It was too high, man. I don't have that
would have been epic. Oh my God.
But I gotta tell you, so I reached out to Coach Harbaugh. I told him did you do it? I'm like, couldn't reach it. But I said, and when I got out of college, I worked for American Airlines. And I remember when the Yankees won, I was Joe Torre's wife was getting on a flight, and she had a pendant. So, of course, I'm like, what's that? And she explained it to me. It was the top of the ring. So bring it back to that year after we beat Ohio State and we won the Big Ten. I said to Coach, parents are in this as much as the players. We deserve to get rings. And he goes, make it happen. Let the parents know. Then we went down to Florida. We got our butt kicked. So I'm like, okay, we'll wait until next year. So the next year, after we won the Big Ten, the memo came out for the parents to get rings. So the point I'm saying is, one, Coach didn't forget it, and two, he kept his word. And the parents obviously had to be within the NCAA rules, but you had a choice of a pendant or a ring. So that was cool. And this year we got national championship rings. So I don't know if any other fan base or any other team's parents got that, but I got to give that to Coach Harbaugh. And obviously right now, Coach Moore continued. So that was cool. Yeah. That was my back way. That was my backdoor way of taking credit for the rings.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's all you.
Well, once again, man, we would like to thank you, Mr. Mullings. Thank you. Thank you for
guys.
Taking the time out to talk some football and about your son with us, man. He's awesome. He's awesome. Yeah. Glad he came.
He is. Awesome human being. Thank you for being a part of the page as well too. And I mean, honestly, I kind of want, if you have time, you probably don't, but if you want to be a part of like every single podcast for the rest of the year, this is good.
This was a good one.
It's great talking to guys and feeling it's a safe space, right? We're here.
Yeah.
The biggest thing, you don't ever want to be taken out of context, right?
Yeah.
So that's so it's important to be able to be here, be yourself, laugh, and so on. You guys, with the transfer portal, and obviously we're talking about recruiting earlier. These kids that are coming out of high school, I think they should think about playing at one level lower than their ability. So if you're a Michigan player, go to Duke, then transfer up. Because you're, as a freshman, the days of coming in and waiting your turn, that's long gone.
Yeah.
Because that kid that went to Duke is getting experience, and he's going to transfer in and take your job. So I think that with the portal now, I think that sitting on the bench and waiting your turn's out of the way. You got to get that experience. You got to get on the field as soon as possible. And that means sometimes not going to the level of your ability, but maybe going below and getting some. You're going to get some NIL money if you're dominating on that level. And if you're not, then you didn't belong on that level, the higher level anyway. Redshirt your freshman year, and redshirting, best business decision ever. Kalel didn't red shirt, and now we're kicking ourselves. We should have. Because at 17
so
years
he could have
old,
had if he would have had a red shirt, he would have had one more year after
extra
this, right?
Year, right?
Okay.
And would you rather have a high school body playing college football or NFL body playing college football? You come in as a 17-year-old, you're not physically ready. You're just running up and down on special teams. Save that year for the end, and now you can maximize your return, as far as the NFL or whatever. So that's just my
first year. If you ain't gonna play your freshman year, you might as well red shirt, get bigger, and learn what you got to learn, and then come in next year.
Even if you are playing, you're not gonna be. You're not whatever you put on film, unless you're the kid at Ohio State or the 17-year-old Alabama. Whatever you put on film right now too be worth anything.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. You're right.
And
it's a business decision.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't realize the difference between the body of a 17 or 18-year-old kid that is a true freshman in college, playing college football for the first time, versus that 22-year-old guy that's about ready to be a first-round draft pick in the NFL next year. There's a major difference.
But also physically. The NIL, they're getting NIL now, so it's not like you're gonna miss out. You're missing out. If you decide to stay a fifth year, you probably make more than you made in the NFL as a seventh.
In your first, is your first year, for sure.
Yeah, so
for sure.
So those are my two advice to all the young kids coming out of high school: just play one level below your talent and transfer up. Because sitting around and waiting, and I don't know, I hope I'm not affecting Michigan's recruiting. But the days of sitting around and waiting your turn's over. They were always gonna find. I mean, think about it. If whoever the kid, the 17-year-old kid, the Alabama kid, or whoever it is, if we have an opportunity to get Caleb, the kid from Ohio State, 2 years from now, a year from now, we're gonna play him over a sophomore. It is what it is. It's business. Yeah. So go out there, get your experience, and then move up. And that, look at Nugent.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
came in and slid right in. Yep. Olu. Yep.
Olu. Yep.
So that's just my advice.
And I mean, Ladarius Henderson, right? Coming in and working his way into the draft.
Wallace, right? Isn't Wallace?
Josh Wallace.
Josh.
Yeah, on the Rams.
Yep.
So
he was with UMass first, right?
Right.
Yep.
Transferred over. So I mean, I know they say they'll find you, but I think it's a little easier to be found when you're playing under the bright lights, when you're playing the big house, right? So you go to a smaller school, BC, and then transfer up, hold whatever, and transfer up, and and if you're the guy, you're gonna shine. Yeah.
And at a school like Michigan, the cream's always going to rise to the top, right? So even when you're at a school like Michigan, like with Josh Wallace, for example, even if he was in the rotation, then you're going to get some looks. You're going to get invited to the combine. You're going to have a chance to go show how athletic you are, to potentially, even if you're an undrafted free agent, to potentially work your way onto a practice squad.
And also, this is now Michigan recruiting, right? What other school would have a kid switch position and play? I mean, we have a history of doing that, right? Mikey
Sanders.
You got Haskins. You got
linebacker.
Yeah, you have what's the defensive end? Blonde. Can't remember his name.
Chase Winovich.
Chase Winovich.
Chase. Tight end, really tall tight end that came in as a quarterback.
Oh my God!
You don't talk about really tall.
Yeah.
So not Schoonmaker, not Schoonmaker. I can't think of the name.
He went to. I think he got drafted by the Steelers or something. But he was really, really tall.
I got a picture with him.
It's gonna drive me nuts if we don't figure this out. Oh my god! No one's leaving
but
until
even
we figure this out.
even we got that. Even we've got Dominic Giudice now playing center, right? Who played on the defensive line.
So this is we have. I mean, and so if you're a kid that can play both ways, or is college ready or college level on a college level, definitely think about Michigan. You'll get the opportunity. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
see now, I gave you guys some homework.
Yeah.
Next week, I want to know what the name of that tight end is.
Connor Haywood.
Yeah, next week you're hired. Love it.
But, I think it's classic.
You can be on any body.
No. Zach Gentry.
Yeah.
Gentry.
Yes. There you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep, Gentry.
Yeah. So, but guys, you guys are doing great. Love the. I'm always gonna be on now. Watching. Not always be. Because I'm at work, and as far as my wife knows, I'm. We're nonstop. We're running all night. So.
We appreciate it, man. This was great. This was great. Yeah, for sure. This was great.
Well,
thank you.
Well, thanks, guys. And Dre, I'll see you this weekend, right? Are you gonna make it or not? You're not gonna make it. You said
I'm not coming to Washington. I'm coming to Illinois though. I'll see you at Illinois.
All right, so I'll see you there.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Dale, thanks for coming on.
Nice talking, man.
Thank you.
Dale, appreciate your time. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dre, you want to sign us off?
Yes, sir. Y'all know my saying. Y'all love one another, respect one another, and always go blue.
Go blue.
Go blue, baby.